All right, in this video, we're going to look at the format of an LD round. So you may have noticed that during my sample round that I gave you with my sister, there were a lot of different speeches in the round. We would have Lily would speak, and I would do something, and there was prep time where we were just writing at the table. And you probably noticed also something else, which maybe you found strange, where we were both standing side by side to each other, and we were asking each other questions, but not looking each other in the eye. So now we're going to explain all that, the format of an LD round. And I'll put all this up on the screen so you can follow along. There's too much to write on the whiteboard, but I can put it on the screen with my video program. All right, so every LD round follows this exact same format. We start off with the affirmative constructive. Okay, the affirmative constructive is the first speech of the round, and it's 6 minutes long. And this is where the affirmative sort of makes his case for his side of the resolution. He literally reads off a case, actually, that he pre-wrote, and he lays the groundwork and presents his argument. He's constructing his position that he will take for the rest of the debate. So the affirmative constructive, he reads the affirmative case, which is pre-written, and that he presents his argument. He introduces it for the round. After that, we have what we call cross-examination, where the negative person asks questions of the affirmative person. And this is 3 minutes long. And this is the thing that you saw where both me and Lily were looking not at each other, but looking straight, but we were standing next to each other, and we were asking each other questions. This is cross-examination. So cross-examination is where you ask questions of your opponent. And we're going to devote an entire section to exploring cross-examination and how to ask questions and how to answer questions later on. But for now, just know that you ask questions of your opponent to try to find holes in their arguments or try to get to understand it better. So anyway, the second thing, again, is the neg cross-exes the AF, asks questions. And then after that, there's prep time. There's prep time for the neg. The negative gets some prep time. And what this is for is the neg gets to sit at the desk and prepare for their next speech because they've just heard the affirmative case. Now they have to plan what they're going to say in their next speech to refute the affirmative case. So they get prep time. They get 3 minutes total in prep time, so there's 2 prep time slots for neg. So they get 1 prep time over here and 1 prep time later in the round over down here before their last speech. There's 3 minutes total in between those 2 prep times. And you can distribute that however you want. So for example, you could use all 3 minutes in your first prep time and 0 minutes in your next prep time. Or you can split it in half. You can use 1.5 minutes for your first prep time and 1.5 for your second prep time. You can use 2 minutes for your first prep time, 1 minute for your last prep time, anything you want as long as it all adds up to, as long as it doesn't exceed 3 minutes total. So you really want to be wise in how you use your prep time. So the neg takes prep time, and then the neg gets up and he gives what we call his negative constructive. So the first half of the negative constructive is just like the affirmative constructive. The negative presents a case. Just as the affirmative presented a case that he was reading that he pre-wrote to introduce his main arguments, the negative does the same thing. About the first 4 minutes of that negative constructive, which is 7 minutes long in total, he's presenting a pre-written case as to why the negative side should win. That's the first 4 minutes. In the last 3 minutes of that 7-minute negative constructive, it becomes sort of a rebuttal speech. And what that means is in those last 3 minutes, the negative, he's not reading anything anymore. He's done with his pre-written case. Now he's just responding to the arguments that the AF just made in his affirmative constructive. So those last 3 minutes, he's rebutting, he's responding to the arguments that were just brought up. And he usually does this all on the fly. He comes up with these arguments on the fly since, you don't really know in advance what your opponent's going to say. So that's what prep time is for. So he heard the affirmative case, he used the prep time to think of responses, and then he gave those responses in the last 3 minutes. At this point, there's another cross-examination. This time the AF asks questions of the neg. This is also 3 minutes long. And then the AF takes prep time so that he can prepare his rebuttal, what he's going to say in his next speech to respond to what the neg just said. And this works the same way. There's 2 AF prep times. You get 3 minutes total to distribute evenly, or distribute however you want between the 2 prep time sessions you have. Then the AF gets up and he gives his first affirmative rebuttal. So this is all impromptu now. This is not pre-written or pre-scripted. He used his prep time to think of arguments against the neg, and now he's going to give those in a 4-minute rebuttal. So the 1AR, the first affirmative rebuttal, is to refute what the neg just said. So he gives that 4 minutes a speech. There's no more cross-examination. That's all done. There's no more for the rest of the round. Neg takes prep time again because he has 1 more speech. So he takes whatever's left of the 3 minutes that he already used up in his first prep time. He prepares what he's going to say in his negative rebuttal. And the negative rebuttal is just like the affirmative rebuttal, except the negative gets 6 minutes to respond to what the affirmative just said. And again, this is all on the fly. He thought of things in prep time, and now he's responding to his opponent. So that's the last negative speech. Then the neg sits down. He's done. He just has to sit at the desk and look cool now. And then the AF takes prep time, what's left of his 3 minutes. So he takes more prep time because he has 1 more speech. And then the affirmative gets the final word. So he gives the second affirmative rebuttal, which is 3 minutes. So he gives a 3-minute second affirmative rebuttal, and then the round is over. And all this takes about 45 minutes, 40 to 45 minutes. That's about how long it takes. So that's a general overview of a typical LD round. That's the format and layout of it. And it'll all become more familiar to you as you actually learn more about it and also do it. In fact, you'll end up memorizing by yourself all these times and all these orders, and it'll become second nature to you by the time you're done.